All right, welcome back. We have our models that we'll need imported, which is cool. So then, later on we can start modeling these plastic parts that we're going to 3D print. But first, it's useful to be able to put parts into position, move them around. And I can move the ball bearing around. That's neat. When you click and drag, it's not very precise. It's not a great way to move things precisely, but it will work. By the way, if you're wondering how to zoom, you can use the scroll wheel. If you're wondering how to move side to side, to pan, you can hold the middle click button and move around. And if you're wondering how to rotate, you can hold Shift and the middle click button and then turn around. So in that way, you can pan to an object, zoom in, and shift click to rotate. And by a combination of those things, you can zoom in on just the thing that you want. There are also shortcuts for touchpad as well, although I don't know them by heart. But yes, that's enough to move around. As I was saying, you can click and drag on the ball bearing and that will move it. Not very precisely, it's not good for precisely aligning parts, but it's good for moving it out the way. And you can do the same with the microbit too. Oh dear. You might remember that each of these is a separate component. See? So they don't move together, which is going to be very annoying. So let's undo all the way back before I started dragging components. I would like to put all of the motor driver board together as a group. There are a few ways to do that. One way is to right click on that component and click on rigid group. If you're ever asked, like from Fusion 360, if it says some components have moved, do you want to capture the current position or continue in the previous position? Maybe I'll show you the difference. If I go continue, it resets everything to the default position. So if you've clicked and dragged, that will be reset. Let's cancel that. So what I would suggest is, I'll do that again, right click, rigid group. If you're ever asked, do you want to continue or do you want to capture position? Just always go capture. And that way things won't move unexpectedly. Okay, so I've got the motor driver board here. I've gone right click, rigid group, components, motor driver board. Sorry, that's the wrong one. Cancel. The motor driver board is this one, and that already is just one component. I wanted this one. This is the microbit. Right click on the microbit, rigid group, capture position. Yes, okay. So now this microbit is one group and moves together. We've got the same thing with the motor. So undo, if I right click on the geared DC motor, right click, rigid group, capture position, okay, good, so that's done. The ball bearing seems fine, undo. Do you notice that when I make a change, just to test something out, I normally undo. I don't want to accidentally make lots of, things that will be confusing changes. So if you do something to test something out, make sure that you undo if you don't want to keep it permanent. Anyway, let's have a look at the servo motor. Servo motor has the same problem. Undo, click on the servo motor, right click, rigid group, okay, beautiful. And now we can move these components around. Fantastic. Good. One last thing, a little tip. If you ever get lost, like let's say you're focusing on something and maybe you've got yourself completely lost and you're thinking, oh dear, where am I? What direction am I facing? There are a few things you can do. Number one, the view cube at the top, you can click and drag to rotate the view, or you can click on front or top to get certain views. Where am I? Ooh, there we go. But another handy trick is to double middle click, and that will view everything that's visible at once. Good. All right. In the next video, we will attach... Actually, you know what? Let's just do it right now. Let's attach things together right now. Because the only thing that I really, really want to attach right now is, you notice how the microbit here, this microbit, needs to slot into the motor driver, which is here. Now I could try to click and drag it and move it around. I could go modify, move copy, and there are ways to rotate it. Let's do it that way. Let's do move copy. Should we? No, let's do a joint. I feel like a joint. If we go joint here, this will let us snap two faces together. Just to show you vaguely how it works, this change won't be permanent, so don't copy these steps. I can snap the bottom of the servo motor. There you go. Snap the bottom of the servo motor to here, and then they're stuck together. Okay. So now when I click and drag on things, they move together as one, which is so, so powerful. It lets you position things absolutely perfectly precisely. And it lets you make things rotate as well. For example, and again, don't copy this one, I could make a joint from the middle of this servo motor into, I don't know, this is a really silly one. You wouldn't actually connect these things together, into here, and then make it so that these are allowed to spin. There we go. So now, if this component stays still, oh, sure. Where was I? If this component stays still, then I can turn around the servo motor, which is cool. Anyway, so you can make a full simulation for your model. That's what I was getting at. Let's undo. The reason that I wanted to do a joint right now is to get this microbit inside this slot here. How do we do that? Well, click on the joint button, or you can press the letter J. You see there's a letter J that you can press. And then we need to click on the first face. The first face is going to be this flat face here. And it needs a position in the face. You know, like the top middle up here, or the bottom middle, or exactly the middle. If it's hard for you to click on the middle because things keep changing as you move around, once you do get to, I'll move it to the side so it's easier to see. Once you move your mouse over this bottom face, you know, the one that's next to these copper pads, you can hold control. And that means that as you move your mouse, it will still stay on this black face. It won't start selecting other ones. I'll show you the difference. If I let go of control, then it tries selecting things all over these model. But if I move my mouse over this black face, hold control, then I can go exactly, click, in the middle. Okay, so now I've got that component selected. What have I done? Cancel. Whoa, I did not expect these both be selected. Cancel, click, joint. Good, okay, only one of them. I'm doing component one at the moment. So we'll do that again. Hold control, click there. Good. So component one is selected. Now I want that to go in the middle of this face. You can see how control helps, because then I can hold control and make sure that I get exactly middle of the bottom of this face. There are 9 points here. You know, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and I want the middle of the face, so they'll line up. Good. Now, because I played around before, if I go into motion, I made a revolute joint before, you know, one that spins. So that's why it's spinning for me. For you, it should already be on rigid. Leave it on rigid. We want rigid. Good. So this joint is a rigid joint, meaning they're just like glued shut in exactly that position together. If I go to position now and look around, you might notice that it's not quite in the right direction, is it? It is rotated. To rotate it in the correct position, you can click and drag on this rotating handle and turn it around. There we go. If I look at the angle here, I can see that I want it on exactly 0 degrees. Always look around when you're 3D modeling. Rotate it. You know, with that shift middle click drag, because then that helps you to check that everything is in the right position. Good. If I zoom out, you might notice that the other parts didn't come with it, and that's okay. When I'm making the joint, it doesn't keep all the other components stuck to it. It only moves the one that I clicked. But if I save this joint, if I click on OK, then now you can see they are stuck together. And if I move one part, the other moves with it. Very neat. All right, that is plenty for this video. So I will see you for the next video when we can start to make this white plastic part. Excellent. All right, see you next time.